Something changed about 4 hours after I posted. Stan ran out to buy a soft beanbag chair for Marcy to be able to rest in. I bit my nails and waited by the phone for another call for the EMT. Their suggestions weren't bad, but each one of them sounded more gruesome and torturous than the one prior to it. Acid, or maybe some sort of explosive, they said. They made me physically shake to imagine doing that to my little girl. I was tired and exhausted, but I still had some sanity left to know that I didn't want to make my little girl be in any more pain, especially now that her screams had mostly turned into whimpers as she rested and even cried pitifully in her sleep. I stepped away from her for a minute or two, just to regain some sense of composure, and checked all the suggestions that folks posted here. I mean, some of it was quite appalling, suggesting that we kill her to save her the pain, but others suggested that we should attempt a cut from further away up her arm. Someone said it so well. A whole arm amputation beat her current predicament. I showed my husband the suggestions, and he agreed with the logic, so I went back to Marcy to make her comfortable as we made the call. That was when I noticed that it was no longer just the lower part of her arm that was stuck. Now the wall was connected directly at the arm, right beneath her shoulder. She was being pulled further in. I covered my mouth to stifle a scream, and I rushed to get Stan. And when he came and he saw what happened, he made a few quick decisions. Don't wake her. She's not in pain right now. And maybe that's a good thing. We can get this over with before it sucks her even further inside, he suggested. And I nodded, trying not to panic as I paced the kitchen. But the hospital wasn't responding. The one nurse that we did finally get a hold of thought that we were pulling some kind of prank and hung up. What are we supposed to do? I asked Stan as we consulted in the living room. I'm not sure, but I think right now we both need some sleep. As cruel as it sounds, there's nothing we can do for her at the moment, and maybe with some good rest we can clear our heads and get some better ideas, he suggested. I don't want to leave her alone, I admitted, as I started down the hall where our little girl was resting on the beanbag. She looked like a little rag doll, limp, but hanging by some invisible thread on the side of her body. We can take shifts. You need rest, Stan insisted, and then went to lay down alongside her as I covered my mouth again and tried to calm down. He was right. I knew that I needed to take a break from this insanity, so I went to grab a hot shower and then climbed into bed. But sleep was nearly impossible as I thought about Marcy and how it could be at any time that the wall might decide to pull her in further. Somehow or another, though, I got a few hours. In the morning, my husband did have a more leveled head, and we stood there watching her sleep and made soft coos of pain. He whispered, "What was she doing before this happened, anyway?" I rubbed my eyes tiredly and realized I'd never really gotten a chance to ask her. I was sorting laundry and I heard her scream, I admitted. He nodded, and then went back to the kitchen to check his smartphone. I called Tim last night about possibly coming over to knock the wall down, since it seemed like the area closest to her is what was making it painful. Figured we got far enough out and we'd start from there, he said, then added, "If that doesn't work, might be able to drill under the house." I was focused on Marcy, though. I realized she was waking up, so I nodded absently at my husband's ideas and put all my attention on her. Hey, baby girl. You okay?" I asked, getting on my knees as she opened her sleepy eyes. She looked at me confused, perhaps thinking the whole ordeal had been a bad dream. Then she turned to see the wall was now right against her body, and she began to whimper again. "Mommy, what's happening?" she asked desperately. "It's okay. You don't feel any pain, do you?" I asked, as I clenched her other hand. "No, just... it feels really numb. Tingly," she admitted. I then remembered that the paramedics said the local anesthetic they used would be wearing off after about a day, so the fact that she was still feeling something made me instantly nervous. Stan had checked the exterior of the house. Our walls aren't too thick, so there couldn't possibly be over 9 feet between the interior of the hallway to the edge of the house where she was trapped. But we hadn't been able to see anything, so Where exactly was she feeling the pain at now? It's gonna be okay. Uncle Tim is gonna come over and see what we can do to help, I told her. She nodded and asked if I could make her some breakfast. Doing the simple routine task seemed like the best way for me to keep my mind off my little girl's plight. I slowly washed the dishes and daydreamed about anything besides the wall. Eventually Tim arrived, and as soon as he jumped inside, he got a good look at the wall and Marcy. Hey kiddo, he said, smiling, and offering Marcy a small trinket as a distraction while he got a better look. This is crazy, he admitted, as he finished his examination, and we all worried about what the next few hours might mean for Marcy. Tim had brought a heavy-duty saw from the back of his truck and set it up at the edge of the hall where the wall met the door of the laundry room. Stan got an extension cord and they got set up as I distracted Marcy. I'm not scared, Mommy. I just want to go play in my room, she admitted. Tom started up the saw and approached the wall. He was at least 4 feet away, but as soon as the saw touched the wall, Marcy's calm demeanor fractured into more pain. Stop, 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 I yelled. But the noise was too loud, and Tom was wearing protective ear guards. Somehow, though, he managed to hear Marcy's piercing screams as he instantly shut the equipment off. Shit, she okay? He asked as he removed his eye gear. Marcy was shaking again, clenching her other fist and squeezing her side so hard that it was leaving a bruise. I tried to get her to tell me where it hurt. She was at a loss for words. Okay, we have to try something else. Hitting the wall is no good, Stan said. If we can get those damn paramedics back here, maybe we could apply some stronger anesthetic from this side, Tim suggested, as he checked Marcy's free arm. While she was distracted with the pain, he made a small cut with his pocket knife against her palm, and I slapped him away. What's wrong with you? Are you trying to make her worse? Relax, it's just to test a theory. You said near to the wall she couldn't be hurt, but look on this side. She could still bleed, he said, gesturing to the successful cut. It's all the way up to her fucking shoulder, Tim! Where the hell would we be able to cut? I screamed back. He raised his hands defensively and muttered, All right, amputation is off the table right now. Let's try the other thing. Drill from underneath. Stan seemed to agree that it was a good idea, so the two of them left the house while I worked frantically to calm my little girl down. She was so tired and worn out from everything that it didn't take as long. As I sang a lullaby to her and let her rest her head against me, she looked up at me, and she mumbled, Mommy, I'm scared. Am I going to be stuck like this forever? I rubbed her back and smiled, tears welling up in my eyes. I didn't know, but I lied to her. No, baby, Uncle Tim and Daddy are going to get you out, I assured her. I could hear the two of them crawling underneath the house. We lived in an area that's at the bottom of a hill, so the crawl space is mostly designed for water that trickles down to flow through and go into a nearby ditch. In other words, I knew that Tim and Stan were likely on their backs, struggling in muck and dirt to search for the right spot to drill. I'm sorry, Mommy, Marcy said, as I went to the nearest vent on the floor to talk to Stan. It's okay, honey, it's not your fault, I told her. She was whimpering again, but not out of pain. This time, she was scared. I recognized it as the face she usually made when she thought she was going to get in trouble. Stan was telling me something about how I would need to send the drill down through the vent, along with a cord. But my attention was focused on what Marcy was trying to tell me. Baby, why do you think you're in trouble? I asked her as she squirmed uncomfortably. Now with 90% of her arm in the wall, it was nearly impossible to get her into a position that wasn't going to hurt, even with something to rest on. What were you doing before this happened? I asked. Guilt was written all over my face. I'm sorry, I didn't know, she admitted. She looked panicked. No, sweetie, it's okay, you aren't in trouble, I told her. I was drawing on the wall, she sobbed. For some reason, the way she said it made me feel a cold shiver run up and down my spine. It's okay, baby, I said with a soft, small voice. It's gonna be okay, you're not in trouble, I told her. But I really think she is. I'm about to send the drill down to Stan and Tim, but my gut's telling me that it won't work. My gut's telling me that there is something very wrong with this house. Hey there kids, it's me, MrCreepyPasta, and I want to tell you thank you so much for watching tonight's video or listening to tonight's episode of the podcast. I really appreciate it, and anytime you guys give me a subscribe or a follow or a like or a comment or literally just a watch, I can't thank you enough for it because you're the reason I keep making episodes and you guys are the reason that I love horror as much as I do. We're in the middle of summer, and I'm from Texas, which means that it's a great time for iced tea. And you know who makes iced tea? My wife. My wife sells tea. My wife sells tea on Etsy.com/shop/ivory-monocle-tea. And if you want to get the Mr. Creepypasta special, you can order a dark and stormy night and specifically request a dabbing sticker that you only get if you ask for it. And as always, I want to give a very special thanks to all of my patrons at patreon.com/MrCreepyPasta, because you guys are the reasons I get to keep my lights on in the house and get wonderful little treats for my cats and everything like that. And also the reason why we keep getting special custom series just for the channel. So a special thanks to Jacob Shaffer, Jordan Alexander Sanchez, Bryon Arce, Ken Lando Higuchi, Bobby Karman, Tristain Pelton, Chase Burnett, Bardo Hawk 764, TheBananaMafia 1, Melancholy Corpse, Hollow Zero, Ferb, Harley, Billy Morrow, Birch, Sashi Sazaku, Kayden the Spooky Boy, My Body Sounds Like Rice AshWood, Lord of the Weebs, Jay, Feyelocket, Miss Xandra, MrUnsettlingSpaghetti, Eurogore, Suji Campbell, Marco Takes Dabs 420, Stricken, Ozarine Fox, Robert White, Andres Garcia, Snails Brennan, Legit Quad Feed, James Bruce, Chris Lovins, Freddy Krueger, Tynan, Justin Johnson, Michael Scarborough, Infernal One, James Lowe, Lisa Cottrell, Caspian, Jordan Nels, Hades Nephew, Tater Chip, Acid System, Prozac and Pancake Appreciation Society, Cryptic Nightmares, Someone You Love, Kiri the Sloth, Tommy Green, Sky Harbor, Caleb Dougal, Nina Smith, Nico Kayo, Rafael Rodriguez, The Ginger Bros, Aaron Stormcrow, Daniel Polson, Trace Miles, Corey Kenshin, and Peaceful Buddha. That's right, guys, at patreon.com/MrCreepyPasta, you could join this amazing list of people's names I mispronounce and the list of Patreons down there in the description. But of course, none of that is ever required. I just appreciate you guys subscribing and watching and honestly being here. So, to all of you, sweet dreams.